So Project Hail Mary is a story of a man who wakes up in a strange building and has no idea how he got there, only to discover it's not a building. It's actually a spaceship, and he's nowhere near Earth. He's on a one-way mission to a distant star system called Tau Ceti. And he realizes as he starts to piece his memory back together that he has to save all of Earth. Really, this entire movie rests on the shoulders and on the handsome face of Ryan Gosling. Very, very few actors, almost no actors, who can both command the screen by themselves for an entire movie, can be funny, can be emotional, can be smart, can be witty, and he was just absolutely the perfect Ryland. So Strat, played by Sandra Hüller, is, basically this really mysterious woman on Earth who's been tasked with putting together the super secret Hail Mary project. She's a person who never lets bureaucratic red tape get in the way of doing the important thing, which is trying to save as much of humanity as possible. The consequence of that is sometimes she comes across as brusque or uncaring. She's a really interesting counterpart for Grace. She's someone who is fearless and task oriented and will stop at nothing to get the job done. And she's someone who also really appreciates unconventional thinking, which is what attracted her to Grace in the first place. So through the course of our movie, Grace is starting to reconstruct who he used to be. And he comes to this realization that he never wanted to be on this mission. In fact, he turned it down and then was forced to be on the mission. So I've known Drew Goddard, our screenwriter, for probably close to 20 years now. I had the really good fortune of working with him on The Martian. When I read that book, I could hear no other screenwriter's voice in my head but Drew's. And so when we had the opportunity to do Hail Mary and think about who should write it, there really was no other choice. So we got the book to Drew. And Drew and Andy have a really remarkable symbiotic relationship. Andy Weir's superpower is that he can take these really arcane scientific ideas and make them really understandable to the reader. Drew's superpower is that he can take Andy's prose and figure out what's actually cinematic, and he can translate that into real movie scenes and movie characters, and they really, really understand each other and really complement each other so well. So there really was no other choice for us but to hire Drew. It's been a total joy working with Phil and Chris as directors. I've known Chris for 40 odd years and Phil for over 30. It's really, really been incredible just watching the way they approach this material. And they're never willing to just settle for a stock answer. They want to always challenge convention. They always want to try to deliver something that hasn't been delivered before. They're not afraid to improvise. They're not afraid to challenge the ideas that we think we've already settled on in the hopes to find something even more unique and more special. The thing we love about Project Hail Mary, what we loved about the book, and what we're really aspiring to do as a film, is to do something that is both familiar enough to the audience so they can understand it, but takes them to a place that they've never been before. There's humor in every different aspect of this movie, just pervading it throughout, because everything in life has a little element of humor in it, and we really, really want people to feel like this is a science fiction and a space movie that they've never seen before. We sometimes science fiction can be a really sterile and cold genre, and it doesn't always feel like it's for everybody. But every choice that we've been making on this movie has been, how can we warm this up? Like, how can we make this accessible? How can we make this a movie for everybody, not just devoted fans of the genre?